Aliens mocked us for living on just one planet, until they saw Earth. The Galactic Council laughed at humanity. The chamber of the Galactic Council echoed with laughter. Hundreds of alien delegates, spanning a dozen species, watched the lone human representative with smug amusement. Ambassador Ryan Carter stood alone in the center of the assembly. The massive hall, built for civilizations that had ruled the stars for thousands of years, felt crushing in its scale. "Let me understand this correctly," sneered Overlord Vresh of the Zalari Dominion, his reptilian features twisting into something that might have been a grin. "You claim that your species is significant?" The laughter swelled again. Carter didn't blink, didn't move. He had expected this. The council had always viewed humanity as a joke, a backwater species, primitive and barely worthy of notice. "Tell me, human," another voice chimed in, this one from a towering insectoid Klaxi warlord. "How do you expect to compete with species that rule thousands of worlds, when you barely rule one?" Mocking murmurs rippled through the chamber. One planet. Just one. Humanity had clawed its way to the stars, but compared to the great empires, they were nothing. No colonies. No sprawling fleets. Just Earth. And to the council, that made them insignificant. Carter let them laugh. Let them mock. Because soon they would see the truth. And by then, it would be too late. First contact with Earth. The Zalari Dominion's armada arrived over Earth 3 weeks later. It was meant to be a simple demonstration, a show of force. Not an invasion. Not yet. The Zalari merely wanted to teach humanity its place. And so, from orbit they announced themselves. Their transmission, broadcasted to every screen, every device on Earth, showed Overlord Vresh seated on his ornate command throne, his scaled fingers tapping idly against the armrest. "Humans, you have been given a place in the galaxy, yet you persist in arrogance. You stand alone on a single rock while we command thousands. This is your final lesson. Bow before the Dominion, and you will be spared." He smirked. "Refuse? And we will take your world as our own." Silence fell over the planet. And then humanity responded. The warning. It wasn't Carter who spoke. It was Earth itself. A single, short message was transmitted back, spoken in every human language at once. "You think we are weak because we only have one planet. You have made a mistake. Turn back now." The Zalari scoffed. Vresh gave the order. Their fleet descended. And that was when they realized the truth. Earth is not just a planet, it's a fortress. As the first wave of Dominion warships entered the upper atmosphere, they detected strange anomalies. Their targeting systems glitched. Communications scrambled. Then, without warning, Earth's skies erupted. Orbital defense cannons, hidden beneath the surface for decades, roared to life. Lasers, missiles, electromagnetic railguns. Weapons that shouldn't exist for a species this primitive tore through the enemy fleet like paper. Zalari warships exploded in midair. Their pilots screamed as their systems locked up, their ships spiraling out of control before slamming into the ocean, mountains, deserts, never to rise again. The armada that had ruled the stars for centuries? Crippled within minutes. Vresh's amusement vanished. For the first time in his life he felt fear. The ground war that should have been easy. Even as the Zalari fleet burned, they tried to salvage their mission. They deployed ground troops, tens of thousands of elite soldiers in power armor, towering war machines built to dominate lesser species. They landed across continents, expecting easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves in a nightmare. Because Earth was not just a world. It was a crucible. The first Zalari battalions landed in the Amazon rainforest, expecting to march through it like gods. Within hours they were dead. Not from bullets. Not from tanks. From the planet itself. Venomous insects, unseen predators, parasites that slipped through armor joints. Troops collapsed, foaming at the mouth as the jungle, alive in a way no Zalari world had ever been, tore them apart. The Sahara swallowed their walkers in sandstorms stronger than any they had predicted. The Arctic killed without mercy, frostbite, hypothermia, endless blizzards reducing entire battalions to frozen statues. And then, there were the humans. The species that refused to die. In every war before this, the Zalari had conquered by striking fear into their enemies. But humans? They didn't break. They adapted. They fought in ways no species had ever fought before. Snipers that never missed took out Zalari commanders before their troops even knew they were under attack. Guerrilla fighters vanished into forests, cities, underground tunnels, only to strike when the enemy least expected. Explosives turned entire streets into kill zones. The Zalari were used to facing armies. But this? This was something else. A soldier wasn't just a soldier. Every human was a weapon. And one by one, the invaders fell. The horror of their mistake. Overlord Vresh, watching from orbit, felt a sickening realization settle in his bones. They had never fought a species like this. Not once. They had come to Earth expecting easy victory. Instead, they had awakened something ancient. Something relentless. Something that had spent millennia surviving, evolving, perfecting the art of war. Humanity was not weak. They were not prey. And as the final words of Earth's warning echoed in Vresh's mind, he understood. You think we are weak because we only have one planet. You have made a mistake. And now it was too late. The Galactic Council watches in shock. As the Zalari forces collapsed, news of their defeat spread across the stars. The same species that had mocked Earth for being alone now feared them. And the Galactic Council? They weren't laughing anymore. The aftermath, the galaxy watches in shock. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. The same arrogant delegates who had laughed at humanity now sat frozen, watching the transmission from Earth in disbelief. The Zalari Dominion's fleet was in ruins. Their once invincible ground forces had been annihilated. And Earth? Untouched. A planet that should have been easy prey had become a graveyard for one of the galaxy's greatest empires. Overlord Vresh's final transmission played on every screen. His face, once filled with overconfidence, was now contorted in terror. They're not just survivors. They're predators. We are the ones who are trapped here, not them. Turn back. Turn BA. The feed cut to static. No one had heard from Vresh or his fleet since. The silence stretched. Then, for the first time in the Council's history, they felt fear. The denial of the great empires. The Zalari were reckless, scoffed an Othuan chancellor, his bulbous blue eyes narrowing. They underestimated these humans. That is all. But his voice wavered. Others weren't so sure. This is beyond military failure, hissed a Klaxi warlord. The humans destroyed an entire fleet with no interstellar empire to back them. No reinforcements. No colonies. His mandibles clicked anxiously. That means, he continued, they devoted every resource, every ounce of strength, to making their one world impenetrable. The Council had always viewed expansion as the ultimate measure of power. But humanity had poured everything into defending a single planet. And now, that one planet had shattered their understanding of war. The warning from Earth. Before the Council could react further, a new transmission came in. From Earth. It was Ambassador Ryan Carter. He was seated in a simple, starkly lit room. No grand throne. No imposing war banners. Just a single, unshaken human staring into the camera. His voice was calm. Controlled. You sent your war fleets to conquer us. You assumed we were weak. You assumed we would bow. You were wrong. The chamber shuddered at his words. Carter leaned forward, his expression unreadable. We gave the Zalari a chance to leave. They refused. And now they are gone. A heavy silence. Then he smiled. But it wasn't friendly. Do not make the same mistake they did. The transmission cut out. And for the first time in the Council's existence, they truly understood what it meant to fear a species that only had one planet, and would die before losing it. The response? The galaxy prepares for war. The Council could not afford to ignore this. Across the stars, empires that had long ruled without question now scrambled to react. The Zalari Dominion, crippled and leaderless, desperately tried to regroup. But whispers spread. The Dominion is broken. The humans shattered it. The Klaxi Warbrood, the second most feared empire, sent ships to observe Earth. They claimed it was for peaceful study. But everyone knew what it meant. The Vorthan Imperium, an empire known for devouring weaker civilizations, began mobilizing. Their warlords saw an opportunity, crush Earth now before humanity could spread beyond their system. But the most powerful figures in the galaxy knew the truth. This was no longer about conquering Earth. This was about whether Earth would let them live. Humanity's counterattack begins. While the great empires debated, humanity did not wait. For years they had been underestimated, mocked, threatened. No more. Earth had no colonies, no other planets to rely on. So they took the war to the stars. And they did it in a way that no species had ever expected. The Ghost Fleet rises. Days after Carter's warning, ships began disappearing. Not human ships. Alien ships. Zalari destroyers. Klaxi war frigates. Even Council diplomatic vessels. All gone without a trace. At first, the galaxy believed it was coincidence. Then a Vorthan warlord's command ship vanished. And in its place? A simple message broadcast to every major power. We have taken your ships. We have learned your tactics. We have no colonies. So we will take yours. Panic spread through the council. Because if humanity had started capturing ships, they were no longer just defending Earth. They were building a fleet. The night the Zalari homeworld burned. Then came the event that would change the fate of the galaxy forever. The Zalari Dominion, still recovering from their humiliating defeat on Earth, was unprepared for what came next. The attack came in the dead of night. Explosions ripped through the Zalari capital, blinding the skies with fire. By the time their defensive fleets responded, it was already over. Entire military bases? Gone. War factories? Destroyed. The invincible Zalari war machine, which had stood for centuries, was reduced to burning ruins in a single night. The Zalari never saw their attackers. No enemy fleet had arrived. No invasion force had landed. Just fire, explosions, and chaos. And in the aftermath, as the smoke settled, they found one final message. Etched into the ruins of their grand palace. Humanity does not forget. The Council's last debate. The Galactic Council was in crisis. They had underestimated humanity once. They could not afford to do it again. One faction, led by terrified diplomats, begged for peace. We must offer them something. A truce. An alliance. Before they take more. The other side, led by desperate warlords, demanded total annihilation. We cannot let them continue. If we do nothing, humanity will spread. And then? There will be nothing left but fire. The debate raged. But deep down they all knew the truth. It was already too late. Because humanity had spent centuries trapped on one world, perfecting the art of survival. And now they were free. The question wasn't whether humanity would expand. The question was who would fall first. Humanity's next move begins. As the Council debated, Earth's Ghost Fleet prepared its next target. And across the stars, every empire held its breath. Because the humans had made their stance clear. If you come for us, we will come for you. And this time, there will be no warnings. The fall of the Zalari Dominion. The Zalari homeworld burned. Flames licked the once pristine skyline of Imperium Prime, the heart of the Zalari Dominion. Its towering spires, symbols of a civilization that had dominated the stars for 1,000 years, crumbled beneath the weight of their arrogance. They had mocked humanity for being confined to one planet. Now they wished they had stayed confined to one empire. The attack had been surgical. Precise. Humanity never sent an armada. No declaration of war. No great fleet blotting out the stars. Just whispers in the dark. Zalari warships vanished. Supply lines collapsed overnight. Their strongest fortresses fell without a single battle. When the Zalari Emperor finally realized what was happening, it was already over. By the time their defensive fleets scrambled into position, half of their empire had gone dark. And then the humans struck their capital. The palace gates were shattered inward, molten metal dripping down once immaculate walls. Human operatives, draped in stealth tech the galaxy had never seen, swept through the corridors. They didn't kill the Emperor. They simply dragged him to the balcony, forced him to watch as his city burned, and whispered, "Now you understand." Then they left. The Council's fear reaches its breaking point. The Galactic Council chamber was chaos. The destruction of the Zalari capital had shaken them to their core. "This is an extinction-level event," boomed the Othuan Chancellor, his bioluminescent skin pulsing in distress. "We have awakened something we do not understand." "Humanity is no longer defending itself," growled a Klaxi general, his mandibles grinding in frustration. "They are hunting." Across the chamber, warlords argued over the only two options left: peace or total annihilation. But the Council's most influential war faction, the Vorthan Imperium, would hear none of it. "They have no colonies, no galactic presence. We must crush them now before they spread." The Vorthan Supreme Warlord slammed his fist on the table. "We deploy the Doomsday Fleet. We wipe Earth from existence. No half measures. No hesitation. Silence." Then a quiet voice cut through the tension. "And what if we fail?" All eyes turned to High Admiral Telvrak of the Drachna Consortium, a reptilian strategist whose forces had never lost a war. "Because if we do not succeed," Telvrak continued, "we will have made the greatest mistake in the history of the galaxy." No one spoke. Because in their hearts they already knew, they had made that mistake the moment they chose to invade Earth. But the Vorthan warlords refused to back down. and so they sign their death sentence. The Doomsday Fleet moves and disappears. Within days, the largest fleet ever assembled moved toward Earth. 10,000 warships, armies numbering in the billions, superweapons that had turned entire planets to ash. It was the single greatest display of military power in galactic history. And then, it vanished. Not in battle, not in flames. It simply ceased to exist. One by one, their signals went dark. Their distress calls, cut off mid-sentence. Their systems, hijacked, turned against them. The galaxy watched in absolute horror as an entire armada disappeared into the void. Then the message came, broadcast on every channel, every planet, every warship. The voice of a human. Come, unshaken. The Doomsday Fleet is no longer yours. Now it belongs to Earth. Panic. Total, unrelenting panic. No one had ever seen an entire invasion force stolen in real time. No one even knew how it happened. And then, humanity did something even more terrifying. They sent the fleet back. But not to Earth. To Vorthan space. And it came guns blazing. The fall of the Vorthan Imperium. Vorthan Prime, the fortress world of the Imperium, never had a chance. The same warships they had sent to conquer Earth now descended upon them with ruthless precision. The Doomsday Fleet had been the most powerful armada ever built. And now, it was under human control. Every city on Vorthan Prime fell within hours. Their planetary defense grid turned against them. Their own AI systems, which had once been their strength, were now under Earth's command. Entire war fleets turned on their masters, opening fire on their own kind, their systems overridden with human code. The Supreme Warlord's final message to the Council was one of pure despair. They took our weapons. They took our armies. And now they are using them to erase us. We should have left Earth alone. Tell the others. Tell them to argue. Static. The feed went dark. The Vorthan Imperium was no more. And Earth had not lost a single soldier. The new balance of power. The Galactic Council was in ruins. The Zalari Dominion shattered. The Vorthan Imperium wiped out. And Earth? Still standing. Still just one planet. The galaxy had spent centuries believing that a species without an empire was weak. Now they realized the truth. Humanity never needed an empire. They only needed a reason. And now, they had plenty. Fire the final warning from Earth. As the last embers of the Vorthan Imperium faded into darkness, the Galactic Council received one final transmission. Ambassador Ryan Carter standing before a single image. Earth. Unyielding. Unconquered. Untouchable. His voice was calm. Measured. This war never should have happened. We did not ask for it. But you brought it to our doorstep. Now you understand. We do not care about ruling your stars. We do not seek conquest. But know this, if you ever threaten Earth again. He leaned forward. There will be no one left to remember you. The transmission cut out. And across the galaxy, every species finally understood the truth. They had laughed at humanity for living on just one planet. Now they realized, one planet was all humanity ever needed. And if the galaxy was wise, they would never make the same mistake again. Humanity's final move begins. Humanity's last message to the stars. Fire the galaxy holds its breath. For the first time in recorded history, the great civilizations of the galaxy stopped fighting each other. The Zalari Dominion? Broken. The Vorthan Imperium? Erased. The Doomsday Fleet? Stolen. And Earth still stood. No colonies. No vast empire. Just one planet. But the galaxy now knew, one planet was enough. The Galactic Council convened in absolute terror. A meeting once filled with arrogant warlords and greedy politicians was now eerily silent. Every remaining superpower had only one question. What will the humans do next? Would they strike again? Would they take revenge? Would they claim the galaxy for themselves? No one knew. And that terrified them more than anything. Fire Earth responds, with something unthinkable. The Council had expected a fleet. They had expected a war. Instead, Earth sent a single envoy. One unarmed human, stepping into the Grand Chamber with nothing but a data pad. His name was Ryan Carter, the same diplomat who had sent the final message after the fall of the Vorthan Imperium. He stood before them, calm, collected, completely unshaken by the silent terror radiating from every council member. And then he spoke. Humanity has no interest in ruling the stars. The council members exchanged confused glances. Carter continued. You thought that because we lived on only one planet we were weak. You believed that because we had no colonies, no interstellar empire, we could be conquered. You were wrong. We never spread across the stars because we never needed to. Earth is our home. It is the only one we require. He paused, letting the weight of those words settle like a vice over the chamber. And yet, he continued, his voice darkening, you forced our hand. You sent fleets to burn our cities, to exterminate our species. You thought you were fighting another galactic war. You didn't realize. You were fighting for your survival. The council sat in utter silence as he placed the data pad on the central table. A hologram flickered to life, showing the galaxy itself. And for the first time the council saw what humanity had truly done. It wasn't just the Doomsday Fleet. It wasn't just the stolen warships. Humanity had rewritten the rules of war itself. They had infiltrated every major military network in the galaxy. Every fleet. Every defense grid. Every planetary shield. With a single command, Earth could render every empire defenseless. A war without a single battle. Ryan Carter's expression never changed. Make no mistake. We do not seek your destruction. But we will never allow an attack on Earth again. So this is our offer. You will leave Earth alone. Forever. You will let humanity decide its own fate. You will erase all plans for war. And if you do... He tapped the data pad. The hologram changed. The council watched as, in real time, the Doomsday Fleet shut down. Every hijacked warship powered down. Every stolen defense system disengaged. The message was clear. Humanity could have conquered the galaxy. But they chose not to. Ryan Carter leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. If you ever come for Earth again, we will not give you another chance. And then, just as calmly as he had arrived, he walked away. Fire the galaxy's decision, and a warning. The council was left in stunned silence. For a long time no one spoke. And then, without a vote, without debate, without a single argument, the council agreed. A new law was passed. A simple one. Earth is to remain untouched. By all. Forever. Not because they feared humanity's weapons. Not because they were forced to obey. But because they now understood. Humanity never wanted a war. But if war came, humanity would end it. Fire the last transmission from Earth. Decades passed. The war became legend. The name Earth was now spoken in hushed tones. Some civilizations refused to believe the stories, convinced that humanity was a myth. But others knew the truth. And one day, long after the war had faded into history, the Galactic Council received one final transmission. A single message from Earth. No threats. No demands. No warnings. Just 3 words. We are watching. The transmission ended. And across the galaxy, every species remembered. Because the last time they had forgotten. They lost everything. Fire epilogue, humanity's next move. The galaxy never attacked Earth again. Empires rose and fell, but humanity remained. Still just one planet. But deep beneath the surface, Earth's greatest minds were preparing for something else. Something bigger. Because the greatest mistake the galaxy had ever made was showing humanity the stars. And one day soon, humanity would claim them. Fire. End of story. Fire.